move that out of my way. Right then. I'll kick it off then. So, hello and welcome to another episode of the Microsoft Spotlight podcast. And today we are joined by Kat Greenan. So, John, do you want to say hello?
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Nice to see you all. It's been a long time, I think, since me and Andrew have done a podcast. I actually recorded a podcast. It's been a while. Since Andrew, I think, about 2 days ago. It's been too long since we've done another one, but we've got a good guest today, and it's great to chat to Kat. Kat, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Happy Friday. Woohoo.
Definitely. It's not sun shining and, there's only a couple of hours left of work, so definitely happy Friday.
Definitely.
I've got a lovely view, actually. If I didn't have that great, I've got opposite me I'm in the office today in London, and I'm opposite St Paul's. Like, literally, it's such a nice view.
Oh, lovely.
But Kat, do you want to give us a little kind of intro on yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, that sounds good. So my name is Kat Greenan, and I'm a Microsoft Solutions Specialist and Office 365 Apps and Services MVP. I live currently in Cardiff in South Wales, but I am from Edinburgh originally. But I've also lived in Fife, Glasgow, Doncaster and London. So I've moved around quite a lot. I think Ireland is the only place I haven't lived in the UK yet. And I started tech about 6 years ago as a customer success manager, and then from there moved into more of a technical Microsoft Solutions Specialist role. And that's me so far.
I say congratulations, because obviously the MVP award was in the last couple of months, wasn't it?
March 1st was when it came through. So I've still got the bit of the buzz behind it of, oh goodness, I can't believe I'm MVP.
Yeah, it is nice when you finally get that email dropping from Microsoft.
Yeah, I screamed. I was like, I did it! Oh my god! Shouting down to my fiance, like, come here, come and look at this. Very emotional.
But I think it's really well deserved. Like, I'm just gonna drop. I think it's really well deserved. Like, I think you just been popping up everywhere. Like on LinkedIn, on Twitter, I just see like Kat's talking at this, Kat's talking at, and like it's just seeing you kind of like the hard work you put in and the effort the effort you put in for it to pay off. It's even nice for like people for me to see as well.
No,
so congratulations.
Really I know, thank you.
Let's go back a little bit. So let's go back a little bit to kind of, you said you've been in the IT industry for 6 years now. What was you kind of doing before that?
Well, I did a mixture of things, all non-tech related. I do not have a tech background whatsoever. So I have worked in retail. I have worked, I did teaching in China for a little while, teaching English. I worked for the BBC, so I was a runner for a little while as well for the Crime Watch Roadshow, which I get made fun of a lot because I'm Scottish and everybody says I should be the criminal, not the person running the show. I've worked for a non-profit as well. I used to do door-to-door sales. So I've just never really found where I fit in and never found something that I was excited about and passionate about. And I kind of fell into technology. So my fiance and I lived in Cardiff and we needed to find a job. We're moving to London. And I needed to find a job. So I went through a graduate scheme, like a graduate program. I was a bit older than a graduate, but they still let me in it. And from there, they kind of said, okay, we'll put you through to interviews for these different companies in London. And the first company was Core, which is the company I now work for. And they had a customer success manager role. And I said, oh my goodness, tech. I know nothing about IT. What is that? A bunch of servers in a room and old men sitting with their wife. That's literally the image that I had of technology. It was very old and outdated in my head, and a very big misconception. And I kind of did the interview, and because I'd done customer service, before, I was kind of a bit confident in terms of I could do door to door and things like that. Those skills were quite transferable to more of a customer success role. And so I did the interview and I got the job, and I was so nervous. I thought I'm never going to be able to learn like what the cloud is or what Azure is. So kind of went from that non-tech background into falling into tech kind of, and then I loved it. and asked to do more tech stuff, more technical stuff. And that's when I became a Microsoft Solutions Specialist, when I kind of asked my boss and said, look, I want to do more of this stuff. And he was like, yep, let's give it a go. And yeah, so that's how I ended up where I am today.
That's awesome. I mean, so with obviously going into the Microsoft world, then what made you do that transition to actually start doing more community things?
So it started about 18 months ago, and I knew about MVP. I knew what it was, kind of. We had an MVP at Core who'd been in the program for many, many years. And I had already started doing things like, I called it Friday Tech Tips. So I used to make YouTube videos and post them on LinkedIn, and just as a bit of fun, here's something I found in PowerPoint or Teams or whatever it may be. And then my boss actually said, oh, we're looking to invest in some of our staff becoming MVPs. So we could obviously, it's better for your career and da-da-da-da-da. So I kind of put my name forward and said that's something that I think, I'd want to look into a little bit more and see what's actually involved. So I started then speaking to a bunch of MVPs and said, approached them and kind of said, please, can I have 10 minutes just to ask you a couple of questions about what it means and, the requirements for it. And one of the biggest things all the MVPs kind of said to me was, it's going to become a bit of a part of your life, and it should be. So, if you're just doing it for the MVP stuff, it's probably not going to work for you, and it's probably not the best thing to do. So that's when I said, okay, let's look at the community, let's get involved there. I started posting blogs, and the community kind of just opened me up and swallowed me in. And it was amazing because I didn't know anybody really outside of my work in tech. And then I joined Twitter and on LinkedIn, and I had people reach out to me. And then Peter Rising reached out to do the podcast Cloud Conversations. Kev McDonald's reached out. It's just been absolutely amazing. So that really, I was kind of happy for it to be part of my life because I felt like I was part of something and I belonged somewhere. Whereas before, when I wasn't in tech, I didn't. And from there, I just kept doing speaking events, and I really enjoyed it. I like presenting. I like getting involved in, the community. So it kind of tumbled from there into, becoming MVP. I know I can see we've got some light,
yeah,
light
it's
effects.
now because my light is really terrible in this room. It really annoys me in the middle of the day because you've got so much glare coming through the window on the left-hand side.
It's all good.
I mean, obviously, I've been down the MVP track before. I know, obviously, yes, it does very much have to become part of your life, and it can take a toll on your life as well, depending on how much you do. Obviously, with COVID, obviously, people now do more online stuff. Back when I was an MVP, I was doing a lot of traveling to 3 different user groups, doing speaking and just basically hosting it as well. So it can be, quite a difficult task, especially if you've got a family as well. But yeah, if you love, breathe Microsoft technology, then definitely go for it. As I mentioned, we've seen you popping up here, there, and everywhere over things. And so obviously, South Coast Summit, me and John was at last year. So also, I was going to ask a question about obviously cloud conversations, how you got involved in that. Obviously, you just basically mentioned that Pete reached out to you, and I think we kind of did the same with like Sophie Dimolo as well. Obviously, we reached out to her because of videos she was putting online, and then now she's obviously a part of this podcast and doing episodes with us as well.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I do TikTok videos, so I'm on TikTok. Collab with Kat is my handle. If anybody's on TikTok, I'm trying to get the Twitter community on TikTok. If it kills me, I'll do it. And on TikTok, I do videos on how to get into tech, how to build a network in tech, which is what I did because I knew nobody in technology. Now I've got this great network of people. How do you go about it? How do you get opportunities like being a podcast host? I mean, I didn't ask for that. It was kind of, Pete approached me because I was a guest, and then I've been posting things on LinkedIn and my blog. You're the same with Sophie. So I think one of the key things I talk about in my videos is post content that you're passionate about, and you'll see opportunities open up from there. So I think that's a really, key point for anybody listening. And also check out my TikTok while you're
I think I messaged you when you done your TikTok. I think I sent you a message. I was like, yeah, it's really cool. Like, Like it's a good way to kind of start getting content on completely different kind of platform to what most people are used to. Everyone's used to seeing LinkedIn, Twitter, but yeah, obviously TikTok now I think is a really good platform, because obviously there's a lot of the young generation on there. There's you know, and it's a really good way to bring new people into technology and have more of an image of it isn't old men by servers anymore. It's you know, young women like yourself and stuff like that to really give it a good image, which I think is good. So I'd love to do it, but I could just never think of content to put onto TikTok.
See, I'm on
Sometimes.
TikTok, but only because for certain, like, obviously I run an under 9s football team, and that's the only reason I'm on there, just to watch like videos of like training sessions, and it's like, yeah. And then you see videos of people going, oh yeah, people born in the 90s are old. I'm like, I'm born in the 80s, so
Oh, no,
I must be
don't
like a
say
granddad.
Dear me. It is a younger generation, but there's a huge mix. And on TikTok there's actually a really big tech community, and there's a hashtag called Tech Talk, which if you search for that, you'll just see there's a whole Microsoft community. There's people who work at Microsoft, like Azure specialists and things like that, who have like 50,000 followers on TikTok, and they talk about working at Microsoft and encourage people to, you know, to apply. And there's a teacher who started doing tips, like video tips, like how to improve your computer and how to use Teams. And he's got like 3 million people following him, and he just started doing it for fun because he was a teacher, an IT teacher. So yeah, really big community on there. It's a different type of community, but it's still a tech community. So yeah, I would say look on there if you're interested.
How have you found on TikTok in general? Because I know in other communities that TikTok itself is quite a bit of a poor community. Is it a bit of a I'm trying to think of a word to say it. Is there a lot of trolls on it basically on TikTok, or is it quite a negative community? Is it a positive community?
It's both. It's definitely both, and there's an algorithm to it. So the longer you watch videos, that TikTok will say, oh, okay, so this is the type of stuff you like to watch, and it will show you videos similar to that. So if you're watching, you know, if it'll show you a whole bunch of random videos, and some of it's negative, some of it's positive. If you watch the positive stuff longer, then you'll probably get more positive videos shown to you by TikTok. And it's similar if you like videos, comment, and if you follow certain hashtags, it will show you positive things. So there's definitely a negative and positive, just like there is with any platform, but you can kind of tweak your algorithm so only, you know, you're looking at positive videos.
I was just wondering more about kind of like the comments and stuff like that you get on there. What's the general audience like? Yeah. It's
very supportive from my perspective so far. I did a video actually which got some negative comments, which was very interesting, and somebody commented on one of my LinkedIn posts and said, oh, you look so beautiful or something, and it annoyed me because I was like, oh, that's inappropriate. So I made a TikTok video about it saying, guys, it's inappropriate, please don't do that, that's annoying. And so many men commented and were really, really vexed. And they were like, so we can't say anything now. So we can't give you a compliment. Why won't you accept our compliment? Oh, it sounds like you're insecure if you're angry that we're calling you beautiful. And all of this stuff. There was loads of women who were like, no, it's LinkedIn, it's inappropriate. And there was this whole thing going on in my comment section of all these men who were really hurt and upset that I didn't want them to call me beautiful. And all these women saying, this is inappropriate, like, obviously it's inappropriate. And it was just really interesting to watch. So you get both, is the answer to that.
So LinkedIn's a professional platform for professionals. So things like that, you know, should be on other platforms, not on LinkedIn ever. I mean, you do see it, and it's like, you know, come on, if people are on here to basically network with other professionals within their, you know, their technology or skill or whatever they're in for a field, not to basically, you know, go hunting for dates and partners and all that kind of stuff. So
exactly.
But yeah, I mean,
anyway,
obviously, I mean, you see it all the time. There was just inappropriate comments from just, you know, communities. So across any platform, doesn't make a difference what it is, and it, you know, I don't think there's enough being done to stop it. But then also, you know, to stop it, then other people like myself have to basically shout up and go, you know, that is kind of inappropriate. You know, pack it in.
Yeah.
until we get more.
You know, I think you're going to get me on this social media throne again, Andrew. And I've said it. I think I've gone away from the subject for a long time. I just don't think social media does enough in general over anything in terms of like facilitating or cutting out racism, sexism, every ism there is. The social media doesn't do enough.
Yeah, no,
So,
I agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I definitely agree. You can report things and block things, and TikTok itself does block. So if there's any, if people get naked on the camera, or if there's like hate speech or anything like that, they've got bots that automatically just blacklist the video. So when you post it, it's just not going to go anywhere because it's got content that TikTok deem inappropriate. But loads of stuff still gets through. People find loopholes, and there's still definitely a lot, I think, that could be done with social media.
I've reported stuff on Twitter before, racism, and they've come back and said this is not against our community and standards before.
Yeah.
TikTok and Twitter are more interested in removing illegal streams to football than actually dealing with racism with football. Why?
Yeah.
Because the streams cost them money.
Yeah,
Simple
exactly.
So that's where you see where priority lies, right?
Yeah, it's all a bottom line at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's depressing.
Yeah, we'll get off this now. Obviously, one of the reasons obviously we invited you on our episode today is also that you're going to be speaking at our user group in May. Can't remember the date, John. What's the date? It's the 16th of May, something like that.
16th.
That's about
It's
right.
in
Yeah.
my mind, so I'm guessing it's the 16th.
I
Yeah,
actually can't remember what I'm talking about. Is it? I can't remember what I think it's Teams apps. I think was what I said.
So yeah, I think it is. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, me and John are very much about promoting people and getting more people involved and giving opportunities to people to come and speak. I put a call out for content for this podcast recently to try and get more people. I know quite a lot of people within the community from the Women in Tech, but there's a big pool of other people that I just don't know. And so in the last couple of days, we can get quite a few messages in and organising quite a number of episodes. So we are
literally
all,
just got one this second.
Yeah, literally as we're recording, just got another one just come through this second. So yeah, we're all about obviously promoting people. So let's dive into all the stuff that you're doing now. So tell us about Cloud Conversations. Obviously, it's another podcast. I know that obviously you've got yourself on there, and you've also included another person into the podcast as well from the States.
Yeah, I was going to wait for you to see if you could pronounce her name properly or not.
See, I was going to try.
You said you're not good with names.
No, I was going to try because at the end of the day, her name basically spells a particular Microsoft product. So I'm not going to try and get her name correct because it probably won't be the way she says it or how Microsoft says it. So I'll let you drop that one in.
That's fine. So it is actually the way that I say it from the Microsoft product, Azure McFarlane. So Azure, and funnily enough, she's an MVP for Biz Apps. She's not an MVP for
It's
Azure.
just a shame. Yeah.
I know. I said that's a wasted opportunity there. You've chosen she's all about Power Automate rather than Azure. But so Cloud Conversations is a tech podcast. So we have guests from all around the tech community, inside and out, new people in the community as well. Anybody who's passionate about technology, really, we get on the show and we talk about career, but we also try and get some tech questions in there. We talk about hobbies and music and just get to know the people in the community. And it's quite nice because there's so many people who've said, oh, it's nice to see the person behind who's creating content. So you see people posting on social media. It's nice to actually, watch and find out about them and how they got to where they are, which is probably similar to what you guys do as well. And we've got 4 hosts on the show. So we've got Peter Rising, Rue Campbell, Azure McFarlane, and myself, who kind of swap and talk to all of our guests. But yeah, it's been such a nice experience because I think it helps with your network as well. I've met loads and loads of people in the community that I didn't know about before through doing the podcast. So it's been really, really good. And what I found is that people know me better and come up to me. And I went to the South Coast Summit last year, and there was people come up to me like, "Oh, hi, Kat, you all right?" and just starting to talk to me like they knew me, and I'd never met them and didn't know who they were. So
Yeah,
if you
you
do come
do
up to me, just let me know who you are, because you forget that people have seen you over and over again. It's where they're, you're familiar to them, but not vice versa. I just thought it was quite funny. But yeah, that's Cloud Conversations.
That's awesome. So, I mean, obviously the podcast was originally started by Rue and Peter. So, what was their driver for doing the podcast? I mean, obviously I know what ours was, because ours was more focused on people's backgrounds. What was Rue and Peter's?
So I think I don't actually know what their what their reason, I guess, for starting it. They had the podcast Cloud Conversations with Rue and Pete, and then they obviously took that bit off. And they said it was just a chance for them to talk to all the people in the community and find out about the person behind the person in the tech community, if that makes sense. So that idea of getting to know people better than just watching their tweets and so on, especially with the lockdown as well, being able to speak to more people because we're not meeting up as much. So if Pete and Rue, if you're listening to this, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No, I think it's a good reason. I think talking to people, especially lots of different types of people, it's just, I think it's interesting just to talk, like, even if it wasn't a podcast and we wasn't broadcast, putting this on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, please subscribe if you haven't. If we
Drop that in there.
if we,
Also subscribe to Cloud Conversations as well. We're not biased here.
But even if we weren't putting it out there on socials, it's just nice to chat to people, to be honest. Interesting to find people everyone's different backgrounds, and we've had 30, I don't know what number we're on, 30.
This should be episode 31 now.
31.
Wow.
Like, it's just crazy the amount of different stories and different backgrounds that everyone has had. Like, everyone's had, like, all 30 people have basically had different backgrounds. We've had chemists, we've had the vets, we've had horse riders,
nannies.
People,
Our last episode, nannies.
Yeah. Oh man, it's completely different for depending whatever. Yeah. It's just it's nice to have a different background, and it's just nice to hear different stories.
It's nice as well because for people who are maybe watching it and don't have a tech background or are looking to get more involved in technical stuff, you don't need to have done 20 years of IT management and have a computer science degree to be able to get into tech. People from different backgrounds, sometimes with no experience whatsoever, have that opportunity. So I think it's quite nice to showcase that to people as well, to encourage more people, especially women as well, to get into the tech industry. You don't need to be that kind of stereotype that we all imagine, or I imagine anyway, with IT. Like, it's for anybody.
No, you still imagine that, and so wait, you've been in IT for 6 years, and you've literally done so much in 6 years' time. It's crazy. Like, you'd think you'd been doing it for 20 years or so.
I'd love to be doing it for 20 years and look like this in 20 years' time still. That would be nice.
But
I've been on IT 18 years. So
wow.
Since I was 17. So time flies. Flies.
You blink and it's 10 years have passed. Oh goodness, where did that go?
Yeah. So I've got a question for you. As always, like to drop out, John, my line. How do you think that you can get more women into tech? Obviously, you've come from a non-technical background, kind of just basically applied for a graduate job, got into IT, and then found an interest in doing Microsoft stuff. How do you kind of think we can address getting more women involved in either coding or non-coding roles, as Holly and Isadora would say, working within our space?
I think it starts from a younger age. So I think the STEM ambassador programs are amazing, and we should be doing more of that stuff. So when young girls are in school and they're being, I'm not sure, I don't have kids, I don't know if it's like this still in school, but when I was in school, the girls would go to home economics and doing cooking, and the boys would go to computer science, or they'd do something else where it's building with their hands and the wood thing that you do. But you could tell I didn't do it. I was definitely the home economics one. But you're put into those kind of silos automatically, and it's a social aspect to that as well. I think if you can address that at younger age, women will be more encouraged to think, I can build things, I can have that mindset of being a logical thinker and, you know, being able to go into technology, and encouraging young women with here's all these great women in tech and science and, you know, the STEM fields, you can do it too. So I think starting young is the best way to approach it. But there's loads of other things that we could do now. Like I read this interesting article that was talking about job descriptions for technical roles, which are always, the language used is always geared towards a more like masculine audience. And there's interesting things like that we can do. But I think starting when you're young is going to be the only way to really make a difference.
That's something we spoke quite a lot about with Ellie King in episode
Ellie King,
29. Was that? Yeah, something we spoke about a lot was job descriptions. How, you know, like Java Rockstar and stuff like that just doesn't like job descriptions with that in there just doesn't appeal to anybody except for people who want to be like rock stars.
Yeah.
So yeah, like little things like that I think can help a lot more. But I think also stuff that you're doing is really well, as I kind of said earlier, like just the TikTok, putting out content, and having, and for young people to have ambassadors such as yourself, to show that I'm doing this, and I'm a different kind of person to what you'd imagine to be associated to IT. But I also think, and we see it quite a lot as well, which is like IT isn't just a coding role. It could be anything within. It could be IT salesperson. It could be a load of different types of roles, project management. And you know, the list of job titles kind of roll off your tongue, or just are endless, really. So
yeah,
I think
I absolutely
positive role models such as yourself is great.
Thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot, because you do want to make a difference, especially becoming an MVP. It gives you more of a platform to do that as well. And for the coding thing, yeah, I absolutely do not like coding whatsoever, and I end up having to do a little bit of it, and it's just not for me. But there are, even if you do have to, you know, work with code, there are some tools that help, and Google's always a good way to learn stuff as well. But yeah, you definitely do not need to code to get into a technical role. There is, if you want to be more of a developer, obviously you will need to, but yeah, don't need any coding skills necessarily.
Yeah, I think the terminology for that code and non-coding is anything that you do config wise and deep and technical. So it's like, because I don't like the term technical and non-technical, because like even the salesperson needs to be
some kind of
yes, and even a project manager needs some type of technical understanding as such.
Yeah.
So I think that's just.
I mean, you see people like in project roles taking obviously exams now, like the MS 900 or AZ 900, because it's that good foundation level for understanding a Microsoft product.
Yeah.
You don't need to be technical. You just need to know, you know, what product sorts out what particular scenario, and that's it really.
Yeah, I think those 900 exams are really good for anyone to do. Especially MS and the AZ ones are really good to do. I've done the MS 900 a couple of months back, because I was like, I haven't got that one. I've got like nearly every single other one. Let me just get the MS 900 just to like complete the pack. I went through. I was like, man, this is actually a little bit difficult, because I don't really look at the licenses and what licenses does what.
Yeah.
I managed to get a pass in the end, but I was like, oh wow, I didn't expect. I expected it to be a lot easier.
Yeah, we got our sales team as well who are doing some of those introductory exams as well. So yeah, I think that's a good point with technical and non-technical. There's a blurred line now, because people, you know, I guess we need to have a certain level of understanding of how technology works to be able to sell it and manage it and you know, do everything in 100%. Tech. So that's a good point.
100%.
So I just want to basically touch back on some of the negative comments you basically mentioned, because in our guest notes that we send out to all our guests, you actually mentioned about Sarah Lagerquist,
yes.
And obviously how she basically stepped up and tackled the inappropriate comments that you basically get over LinkedIn.
Yeah, she's amazing. I love her attitude. She was a guest on Cloud Conversations, and I met her at the South Coast Summit as well. And she's just like, I'll just do whatever I want to do. And I just was like, oh, I'd love to have that attitude of, yeah, that's my life. I'm just going to live it how I want to live it. And yeah, she is. I kind of saw inappropriate comments, and I was like, oh, it's a bit annoying. I didn't say anything. I felt, and in my head, I even said to my fiance, I was like, I wish I could just say, maybe reply to it and be like, oh, well, that's not appropriate. But I was scared to. I thought, I don't want people, again, that mindset of, oh, I don't want people to think, oh, she just moans about, and the inner feminist in me is crying, thinking that and saying that. But Sarah, she commented and said, don't make inappropriate comments on LinkedIn. It's just not appropriate. It's because she has that carefree attitude. She's like, I don't care, that's wrong. I'm going to point out when it's wrong. So Sarah, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for helping to defend me on LinkedIn when there is inappropriate comments.
And I say, both me and John met her at South Coast Summit as well, because when we were basically doing our session about women in tech, she was one of the guests in the audience, and after the session was done, she actually came over to us and had a conversation and said how refreshing it was to see not just obviously women talking about it, but also men as well. And obviously trying, obviously, how the room was just generally basically going, oh, what can I do to help? And that was obviously for her a massive thing. And obviously we've had her on our podcast as well a while back. And yeah, she's a great person, definitely. And everything that she's basically been through and where she's now, hats off to her.
Yeah, and she's got some really great speaking sessions on that coming up as well at Scottish Summit and some other events. So yeah, check those out. Here's me sitting promoting Sarah, but there you go.
So
go watch her stuff.
How about promote you then? So what events have you got coming up apart from obviously this podcast, our user group, and going forward?
Well, there is some of the main speaking events coming up. Commsverse, I'll be attending that and speaking about teams. Scottish Summit, I will also be presenting in Glasgow. South Coast Summit, I've said I'm going to volunteer. So there's some in-person events, which I'm really excited for. There's some online events as well. So the M365 Virtual Summit's coming up. I'll be speaking at that. Yesterday, I spoke at Teams Day 10X on adaptive cards and Teams. That's where you got to do a little bit of that coding that I don't like to do, but that's great technology.
That's a new one to me. I saw it on LinkedIn just yesterday. What have I missed there?
What, the 10X, Teams 10X one?
Yeah, is it an existing conference been renamed, or is it something?
Yeah. It was called Teams Day and then whatever event it was. So they've done Teams Day 1, Teams Day 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then they went from 5 to 10X. And it's the same team that do it. So it's Russ Basura. So we had him as a guest on our Cloud Conversations podcast, and he runs the event. And it's a worldwide Teams event, hundreds of speakers. Do a session over Teams to people around the world. So it's, because I know Teams Nation are not doing their thing anymore. So yeah, that's another one. Their Teams 10X are still going. So, but it used to be called Teams Day 5.
And you're doing the virtual marathon as well, aren't you? Yes.
So the M365 virtual marathon, I'll be speaking there. And I can't remember what I'm speaking about. But I'll definitely be promoting it.
I'm doing, I think, 2. I think I'm doing 2 in that marathon, but I don't know what time or anything like that. Like,
I'm sure it's in May, isn't it? It's sometime in May. I mean, they'll let us know. They always contact you and give you a deck and all that stuff. So yeah, I'll promote that nearer the time when I have more information. But yeah, I did want to say there's loads of speaking events. But I do on my blog as well. I did want to do a little promotion of. So it's collabwithkat.com, which is on my Teams background. And I share tips and tricks on using Teams and now Viva as well. So check that out if you want tips on what's new in Teams, what's happening with Viva, what is it, what does it do, all that lovely stuff. So that's something else to follow.
So obviously you've got yourself in quite a few different speaking slots. As a person that's probably never done one before, what would you say to them? Because obviously you've gone from starting IT, within 18 months you become an MVP, you've done so many speaking slots now and events. What would you say to someone that wants to start doing that, and how would you advise them going forward? Well,
there's tips I suggest. There's lots of tutorials online to help with presenting. So it depends what you want help with. If you want help with your actual presenting skills, there's ways to loads of YouTube videos available online to basically say this is how you would describe something, or your pacing, and how to get rid of your if you do that too many times, there's techniques to use. So there's definitely lots of training videos online to improve your presenting skills. Also, if you are a first time presenter, most of the conferences have a first time presenter kind of workshop or help, and encourage speakers to go in, do the workshop, get a bit of help, and then actually speak at that session at that conference as well. So there's lots of help from conferences. And if it's nerves, I did a TikTok video on this very recently because I was just about to do a workshop and I was going to be sick with nerves. I still get nervous. I love the feeling of being nervous. I love presenting, but I still get nervous. I always will, I think. It keeps you on your toes. I always try to eat something before I present. I always try to prepare, but not over prepare, so it doesn't sound too scripted. And if you just focus on the outcome when you do the presentation, so beforehand you're really nervous, you're going to be sick, and you got to ride through that pain. When you're actually doing the presentation, it'll go in a flash because you're just doing it, you're not thinking about anything else. And then afterwards you get this amazing rush and buzz that you've done it, you've done your presentation, you've achieved it and it went well. And that's what I always try to focus on if I get nervous when I'm presenting. But it's weird because I love the feeling of being nervous because I know it's me going outside of my comfort zone, and I'd like to just be outside of my comfort zone as often. I just live on constant nerves. That's just how my I don't know how to have grey hair, like with the nervousness that I put myself through.
What do you find more difficult, speaking in person or online events?
In person, definitely. The reason why is because when you're online, you can have notes, you can have some visual cues to help you, and everybody, you're not looking at any faces usually, so you're just focusing on your content. And I've got 3 screens, so if I'm doing a demo and presenting slides and answering questions, I've got screens to help me, and it's going quite smoothly. In person, you have to obviously, it's nicer because you can react to people's emotions and you can see them, and you can have a bit more of an interactive session, but you're relying on a screen or a laptop that's not necessarily yours for everything to go right. You got to log into your demos. You don't have that kind of visual cue of notes or anything like that, so you've got to kind of practice it in a different way than you would online. So that's from my experience, but sometimes the in-person one gives you more of a rush once you've done it because you've done it in person, and you can react with people watching your presentation.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I'm doing the Scottish Summit in June now, so I'm speaking in that one. Keep forgetting whenever it goes. So that'll be my first in person speaking event. So that'll be fun.
Well, your first in person without, obviously, not in a group, isn't it? It's on your own, isn't it?
Oh yeah, talking by myself. Yeah, obviously we've done the South Coast Summit, but yeah, first tech one as well actually. In person, so that I'm looking forward to that. And obviously the guys at the Scottish Summit, as you kind of said, are doing really good in terms of the new speaker track.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, what you got to think as well. Yeah, the people that are going to the Scottish Summit are all the tech community, and everybody's really nice in the community. No one's gonna, be expecting you or wanting you to fail. So it makes it a little bit nicer when you're presenting to a group of really nice people as well.
To be fair, I'm used to speaking to 20 people from customers who kind of really grill you in that. So that's my kind of things. I'm like,
this is easy.
If I could talk to like 20 people, if I can talk to 20 people and like customer wise, then I'm guessing the 5 people that turn up to my session will be okay.
I say I've done in person in front of 400 people, and
wow,
that was something else. That was, as you say, you get that good buzz when you come off the stage because you've managed to do something that you wouldn't have saw yourself doing in any part of your life previous to that day. So it was quite an amazing thing to walk off and go, I've done that.
I can't even imagine the nerves for 400 people. I'd be just having a bucket, like being sick the whole time.
That's it. As long as you're confident in what you're talking about, then to get through it. And obviously, it's also then obviously addressing any kind of like hecklers or awkward questions that you don't know the answer to, because obviously people expect you to know the answers to everything. It's obviously know how to, okay, well, I understand your question. How about we speak to them about it after, the session, and then obviously then it gives you that bit of time to work out what you're going to say, and obviously then speak to the person, or you go, okay, well, I don't actually know the full answer, but I know a person that does, and then if you then go away, get the answer, get back to them, you've done your bit then, and obviously that person will then definitely respect you because you've given the answer thereafter. Yeah,
definitely.
Who would you say is somebody that you really kind of look up to within the tech community, like speaking wise?
Speaking wise, I'm not sure actually in terms of presenting. What I like to do is watch, I'm not going to remember any, like Brad Smith doing that kind of session that he does at like the partner conference where he's in front of like in that big Microsoft Inspire where he's standing in front of all the partners. There's the I can't remember her name. There's a woman who does one of the sessions for the Microsoft Inspire conference, and when you watch them presenting, you can tell a professional presenter to someone who's not, because they'll do the techniques that the training videos say to do. So they'll go, she walks on stage, there's thousands of people in a circle surrounding her, and she'll walk on and just go, take a deep breath, and then she'll start presenting. It's just incredible. And I think, wow, I want to get to that level of presenter in terms of, who I'd look up to. So I can't remember their name, but they're great at presenting.
Yeah, personally, I think I'm a Donna Seckard fanboy, to be fair. Like the way she presents and stuff.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah, Donna. We're trying to get her on the show, but
and stuff is great. Yeah.
I say Karuna's another great one, and Michael's as well. Yeah. These are all women that have done, Microsoft Ignite and put themselves out there. They're all, brilliant speakers.
Definitely.
So obviously we've talked about your past, we've talked about the present. So what's the future hold for Kat? What do you want to achieve in the next couple of years or 5 years?
One thing I would definitely
name in 2 months.
Different name in July. When I get married.
That's why I said Kat. I didn't put the surname in there.
Yeah, I change the name so I get married, but I would love to start mentoring. I would love to help someone who is looking to do more in technology and share techniques and things that I did that worked, and and help someone progress that way. So if anybody is listening, that's something I do want to look at doing. I think mentoring, and I also the STEM ambassador program, I've started looking to get more involved in that. So that's something else. Again, it's just I want to use the platform, the MVP platform, to help young people, not just young women as well, get more into technology. So those are things that I would definitely look to achieve in my career in the next couple of years or so.
You know what? I might put you in touch with somebody. I've got a colleague in the States, and she I think she's in Canada. But anyway, North America. We'll just say North America. I was listening to her do a talk internally the other day. I was like, you're really good at this, like this whole talking stuff. Like, you need to do more stuff you need to start doing stuff in the community because you're very good. And she was like, I don't have any social media. Like, she doesn't do social media. I never had social media. She's never had Twitter, Facebook, or anything. I was like, let's get you in there. So I've got her in the women in Teams community. So I said, let's start there, and we'll start branching out of it. But I'm gonna introduce you to.
Yeah, that would be great. I'd love
to. She's a Teams. She loves Teams. She's I think she's a bit more of she does more of like the UC stuff within Teams. But yeah, I think it would be a good match.
That would be great. See, it's who you know, and just speaking in the community, and opportunities open up. So that would be really great.
So I think we're close to our normal running time. So I must say thank you, Kat, for obviously joining me and John today. It's great to have conversations with people that we don't normally get to speak to, as John mentioned before, and understanding their careers and obviously where they've come from. Obviously, I've learned more about yourself, and obviously when I see you then presenting in a couple of weeks, I think it is by the time it's going to be a couple of weeks to our actual user group. So it's great to understand you as a person, as well as obviously then see you as a speaker as well.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for having me. It's been really nice. You're really relaxing hosts, just very chilled vibes, which is always good. So yeah, thank you so much for asking me to come on the show and letting me present at your user group as well. I'm looking forward to that.
No worries. Thank you very
It's great
much.
to meet you as well, Kat.
Cool.
No
All right,
worries.
everyone, we'll see you on the next episode. So thank you for watching or listening.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Microsoft Spotlight podcast. Please make sure you hit that like, share and subscribe button to help us promote our message. You can also follow us on Twitter at MSFT Spotlight, and we're also on LinkedIn, the Microsoft Spotlight podcast. And finally, we'd like to tell you a little bit about BitTitan and thank them for sponsoring this podcast.
Remote migrations start here. Let MigrationWiz do the work for you. It's fast, secure, and 100% SaaS, which means you can migrate at any time and from anywhere. Migrate mailboxes, documents, public folders, personal archives, or even Microsoft Teams with just a few clicks. No special training needed and no customer downtime. When the work matters, choose MigrationWiz.